So how do you flip a house successfully? What's going on, team? It's Ricky with Technical Solutions. I got the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Palladino here. And in this video, we want to break down exactly how we came across this deal, how we purchased this deal, how long it took for us to sell it and how we sold it. And then on top of that, just a little bit more about the details on how can you buy a house for a lower price point and a couple days later be able to sell it for tens of thousands of dollars more. And that's exactly what we're going to break down in this video. So if this is a question that you have been asking yourself, make sure you smash that like button. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it on over to Nick and I want him to quickly explain how he found this deal.
So this deal came up late June and it was on the MLS, which basically blasted out to all the websites that you guys see, Realtor, Zillow, Redfin, and it was within about 30 minutes I actually found the listing. I called the listing agent up and I was like, can we go check this property out? We checked it out, we really liked it, we saw the potential profit margins that it had. It needed a little bit of work to it, but not too much to where we couldn't do it within like a month or two. So we ended up putting in a cash offer, which was the main reason on why we were able to get this property, because the property owner wanted to get rid of it fast. She was actually out of state, so she just didn't want to deal with the stress of having a potential deal fall through and having a longer close period. The benefit to closing with cash is we can pretty much minimize the close or escrow period to about half the time as what you would need for if you were to come in with a loan through a bank. So we ended up locking this property up all in for, I believe, $212,794. So that's a number that you guys are going to want to keep in mind throughout this video, because that's the all-in purchase price after closing costs as well, title fees, all that kind of stuff.
One of the things that I do want to touch on very quickly is you guys might be asking or saying right away, well, I don't have $213,000 to buy this property cash. And let's be honest, a lot of people don't. That's not the idea. I mean, there's so many different ways other than qualifying on the traditional route to qualify for a loan. One of the things many people do is they look for hard money lenders. And if you guys don't know what that is, make sure you write it down, search it up. And you might be saying, well, if this is going to be my first or second house flip, how am I going to get in contact with a hard money lender? It's super simple, right? If a house is worth $300,000 and you did your due diligence and you found the deal for $200,000, there is equity in that house. So there are specific lenders like myself, a hard money lender that will lend out money, yes, of course, at a higher interest rate, anywhere from around 10 to 15%. That's annualized yearly. And the really cool thing about this is you get to do the 2-week close, right? You're not buying that house to keep it. You're not buying that house to live in it. You're buying that house trying to renovate it as quick as possible and post it back in the market. So I just wanted to make sure that as you're watching this video, the first thing that you hear is that we made a cash offer. You need to know that that is just an obstacle or a challenge that you are presented with. It doesn't mean that, oh wow, I just can't do it there. Yes, you can. We know so many people that get in contact with hard money lenders. You just have to make sure that the deal is worth it. So the next thing that I want to talk about is once the property was acquired, we did the 2-week close, meaning that it took 2 weeks instead of 30 to 45 days for us to close on this property. So it was kind of expedited. Once we owned the property, Nick got on it right away. So this was our second flip that we worked on together, and we had some experience in being able to work with specific contractors, and that's something that you're definitely going to want to take into consideration. This is something that caught me by surprise, but it is so important to understand which contractor to schedule out prior to others, just to make sure that the work just doesn't end up overlapping, end up being counterproductive. So I want Nick to talk about very quickly about all the different kind of renovations that we did on this house and how much it cost us, so you guys can get a better idea.
Yeah, so just to keep this into perspective, we had this house for 73 days, including the close time, which was a 35-day close. So this was a very quick turnaround. It was a $15,000 renovation. It was just over $15,000. If you guys want the exact number, it was $15,041. Basically everything that we did, I have it written down. We had paint, we had granite countertops in the kitchen, which is just a really good ROI. People love the kitchen's a selling point, so if you're going to put money somewhere, it's usually going to be in the kitchen and the bathroom, so that's something you want to keep in mind. This was the first flip where we actually put in flooring as well, so we learned a lot about not only the order of contractors like he was saying, but how much the price of flooring is. We did material, just cost of labor. We had carpet installed, which is a very cheap but really high ROI, just looks really good, and it was only $650 for 3 rooms in the house. We did landscaping, which was a big cost, it was a big yard. Then we had backsplash, cleaning lady, and we had trash removal as well. So all in with everything that I just mentioned was $15,000. The most expensive thing for us, I thought was going to be flooring, but it was actually paint. We painted the exterior and interior, which was $4,140. The floor, we went with a luxury vinyl plank, which is very in right now. It's very cheap, it's very durable, and it lasts a very long time. So that's a lot of people really prefer this over porcelain tile if you're on a budget. This was $2,200, so it was a little bit of a higher expense. And then the kitchen, we actually painted the cabinets, which saved us a lot of money. If you were to get new cabinets, I would guess it would probably be about $5,000, and we ended up only paying the cabinets for I think $1,300 in total. So if you guys want to save money there, if the cabinets are in relatively good condition, I wouldn't replace them. I'd just paint them over, put some hardware on them, and then move on. So
one of the things that you guys should know is that this flip, in comparison to the first flip that we worked on together, there was no question that there was a lot of improvement in the way that Nick was able to organize the specific type of work. In our first flip, Nick was still living in LA, and now he's living here with us in Arizona. So he was much more hands-on, and from when the house actually was posted for sale, it was 35 days, right? 35 days, if I'm not mistaken, from when we purchased the property to when it got posted for sale. And the really cool thing about Nick is that Nick did not only just oversee the project and make sure all the work gets done, but on top of that, he got his license here in Arizona. So like I've said so many times before, he is literally on the MLS and on Zillow, which is how we found this deal, just as much as the average person is on social media. So it's not that it's impossible to find listings, public listings that are good deals. It just means that you have to want it, right? And you have to show up and make sure that that you are aware of how to determine what a good deal is. Which is where I think a lot of people that are just getting started are going to have the question, well, how do you determine what is a good deal? Make sure you subscribe to Nick's YouTube channel. I'm going to put that first link down below so you can ask him those specific questions, and he can make detailed videos on how to comp properties, especially here in the Arizona area, so you have a better understanding to make sure the next house that you buy, that you're getting the best deal possible. But the thing that I want to talk about is within those 35 days, he was able to organize and kind of facilitate the whole project of getting the floors done, making sure that the kitchen remodel was done. So one of the things that caught me by surprise throughout this entire project was just how much attention the landscaping needed and how expensive it was also to maintain this form of landscaping, because it wasn't that it just needed the grass to be cut, but it needed to be revived, it needed to be restructured, and that's why I think it cost us a little bit more money in the idea of not just maintaining it, but also making sure that we made it look more appealing. And again, Nick just did an amazing job in being able to decide what plants to keep and what plants to remove to give it a more minimalistic look and a clean look that is, again, low maintenance. One of the issues that we ran into in this project, just like we want to talk about, what went well, we want to talk about an area of opportunity. Some of the problems that we ran into. Nick ended up later finding out that there was a leak, right? No,
there was no leak. It was we thought there was a leak because of how high the water bill was, but it was because of the amount of time we had the irrigation system running. Like he said, it was in the middle of the summer and 110 degrees and the grass was absolutely dead, so we had to revive that whole landscape essentially, and we were using so much water that the water bill was averaged out to be about $700 a month, which blew my mind. It was about 122,000 gallons of water we used in 1 month, just because we had to run that water so much to get that grass green. We found out about this about the first water bill into the project, and we ended up calling a leak detector because we thought there was a leak, but he didn't find anything. He ended up just figuring out that it was the irrigation system and the amount of time we were running on it. So to move forward on it, lesson learned for sure. We had to pay an extremely high water bill, which was over $1,100 for the time we had it. Now we know if we are going to run irrigation system to at least test how much water we're using. So then if it is going to run high, we can at least plan on doing like some manual watering, which we ended up doing towards the last couple weeks here, and it cut our water bill down a ton. So that's something that we learned. Another thing is just the order of contractors. I ended up having paint done first before we had the flooring done. So they ended up having to pull out all the baseboards and reinstall them a little bit lower, which means we had to recaulk everything. We had to repaint a little bit of the baseboards as well. So definitely moving forward, that's something that I'm going to learn, and I'm just kind of excited to improve on that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's what, from the very beginning, Nick and I, even from our first flip, just wanted to learn. Now we know we could make money off of these houses.
Yeah.
There wasn't any question about that. I think on the first house flip, we made profit like $27,000 or something like that. And there's no question that we know that we can do it, especially with Nick's very conservative approach on making sure that the margins are worth it. But also with the idea of just every single time, I think, moving forward, we just want to see small and consistent progress in ways that, by us being able to see what we did wrong the previous time of, putting or painting the walls first and not so much the flooring, to making sure moving forward, we just organize it in a much more effective and efficient way, to maybe even be done sooner. But I think at the end of the day, with how everything played out and how the house literally sold before the house was posted publicly on the MLS, I personally wouldn't change it, just because it almost seemed like the buyers that came to see it, and made us a offer, were just like the perfect buyers, especially for that area. And if we're not mistaken, they had family or relatives that lived in that area. So it was just really cool to see that they really loved the house. I speak Spanish, and I overheard them speaking of how much they love the kitchen. And it's fun, right? I think we can all agree that it's the challenging things in life that, follow with the most fulfillment. And it's so cool to see. Nick wasn't there, but it's just so cool to see all the work that he put in and all the different kind of like little details on the backsplash and the design. Is, that's going to be someone's like new home, right?
Yeah.
And to see the young lady so in love with the kitchen and so in awe with the work, it's just kind of like, we made it happen, and it's cool that we're able to be a small part of that. So altogether, I'm very excited for the next one. Do you want to break down the numbers on after commissions and everything, what it came out to be?
Yeah, so we had some holding fees, which were $1,800. That's going to be your insurance, your utility bill, the water bill, obviously. And then if you guys were to get a hard money loan, you want to include that into your holding fees for however long you're going to have it. All the money that we had in here was internally within Ricky, so that was really nice. Closing costs. As a seller of the property, you are responsible for paying not only your agent, but the buyer's agent as well. So I was able to negotiate my commission down to the smallest percentage possible, which left more equity in the property. So in total, closing costs, we were at $11,000. All in on this property, $240,708. Now for the exciting part. We ended up getting a offer before we listed the property because they saw my sign out front. They had relatives that were 4 houses down. They called their agent up. The agent called me. They're like, we go and check out this property before you even list it and put in an offer on it. So they ended up offering $5,000 over what we were originally planning on listing it for. So immediately in my head, I was like, we have to take this offer. They came in with a conventional loan, 30-day close, pretty standard. And we ended up locking it up for $275,000 on the dot. Subtract $240,708 for that, and that leaves us with a total profit of $34,292. And just for fun, I wanted to break it down per day. So we had this property for 73 days from start to finish. Profit per day is $470 a day, which is awesome because I don't think, how many you visited the property, maybe like 4 or 5 times in total. I went out there, but it was definitely not like I wasn't spending hours and hours and hours out there every single day. So for that ROI, I definitely say it was worth it. And that's pretty much it, guys. So
yeah, and I think this is the really exciting part, that within the first 2 flips that Nick and I have done together, with actual profit and not just profit margin, but with actual profit, we've been able to make a little bit over $50,000 with something that started as kind of just a hobby and trying things out. And Nick has now transitioned into moving out here, got his license as a real estate agent, and now it's just all about scaling. That's the only way and the only thing that I really see moving forward. It's cool that, within, 2.5 months, we've been able to do, 1 house flip, but I think the goal is being able to scale and get a system down where we can begin to do 2 to 3 of these house flips every single month and kind of have this whole, again, system going. But again, we're very early on when it comes down to learning what it takes to be able to scale this thing, and we're very excited to be able to share both our successes and of course the mistakes that we make along the way. So friendly reminder again, if you guys have ever wanted to get into investing in real estate or just want to connect with someone who is proactively investing here in the Arizona area, I'm going to put Nick's YouTube channel and his Instagram down below. That's going to be that first link. All right, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, make sure you smash that like button. On top of that, for any future videos or any specific questions that you guys want us to answer on another video, just make sure you comment them down below, and either myself or Nick will actually make a video about it. So like always, make sure you subscribe. And until next time, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.